right, hello and welcome. Today is Wednesday, May 20th. Welcome to Steam Powered PD. Today we're going to talk more about Google Docs, Slides, and Draw. I want to include Draw today because I don't think it's something that we use a lot, or it's a tool that we kind of talk about very much. So I thought that'd be kind of a fun one to play with for students, for younger kids, that kind of thing. So if you have something that you want students to create graphically, again, this is built right in, and this is an easy way to do it. So we'll kind of focus on that. Let me just mute. There we go. All right, so a couple questions that have come up. We have our document here with the different questions come up the last couple days. We'll make sure we address all those. One question that came up from Brian, which is a really good one, about setting up students to be able to transfer their information and coming to the end of the year, especially graduating students, getting them to be able to transfer their data, their accounts, their information into their own personal account. So that's going to be more of a question than just like a quick second to show. So I'm going to actually do a show. We'll do it next week on that process. So if you have one account, if you have your school Google account, and you want to transfer the data from that account into your own personal one, how you would do that process. Now for students, of course, no big deal. That's like kind of part of the process. When they graduate, they take it with them. For us, for educators, it's a little bit more complicated because we may not be going to our own personal account. In fact, more likely, we'd be going from a school account, say, to another school. Let's say we transfer to another school or something like that. And so that's a different scenario, and I can explain both of those. So we'll do that next week. We'll do a whole show just on that process of how you transfer data from one account to another and the steps and all that kind of thing. And we will do that next week. Another question that came up from, let's see, we mentioned that one yesterday about converting. If you're having issues with Google Classroom as far as not all students are seeing their assignments or that kind of stuff, let me know, because we do want to document these. We also want to kind of give feedback to Google as far as that, if that's happening. I don't know if that's happening across the board. We've had a couple individual cases. Most of the time what it's been is that students have clicked turn in before they've actually done that, or students themselves have deleted the assignment. So they received an assignment from a teacher, they deleted it for whatever reason, and then the teacher says, well, I can't see it, and that's why. So let us know if it's something more than that. We certainly can look into it, but I think usually that's the case. It's kind of from that end. Another question that came up is uploading audio. So this is from Jen. Tried uploading audio to my Google Drive, but it says working on it and not responding. I would definitely check your bandwidth. So the easiest way to do that, if you go to google.com, just type in speed test, and you'll see it'll click a little blue button there, click on that, and it'll give you the numbers. If it's really low, it might be something that you want to record offline. So one thing I did with another teacher, they were recording and they were using Screencastify, but their bandwidth wasn't great. So it would kind of get choppy and wouldn't work very well. So my recommendation was use the downloaded app that is a camera. So bit.ly/Chrome camera, it's its own program. It will record the video offline. So you can just record it and have it stored. And then when you're done, when it's all recorded, it'll be nice and smooth. You can upload that video onto your Google Drive. And that way you're already done. You already have the video completed. You can upload it and share it that way. So it's just a little bit easier. All right. So a couple of good questions coming in here. I am going to, like I said, today we're going to talk about Google Docs and Draw and Slides, that kind of thing, how we're going to kind of incorporate graphics into what we're doing. So if I do a quick screen share here, we're going to go to our Google Drive. There we go. All right. So just going to create a new Google document, new Google Doc right here, new blank one again, and a lot of the same type of stuff that we're familiar with as far as tool set and so forth. But if I do want to add graphics in here, if I want to add an image or something, I certainly can click Insert, Image, and find pictures. I can search for them, right? So I can search by, search the web, upload it from my computer directly. Let's say I want to upload one. Go find an image here. We'll find our logo. There's the Nokomis logo. There's an image. Now, a couple different choices I have with this. If I resize it here, I can kind of drag it along and resize that way. If I want to center it, I can use the regular center tools. I can treat this basically as a single character or integrated around different text. So if I add text here, we'll add a couple different examples of this. So I'll put some above it. I'll put some below it. And again, depending on what my needs are, if I want to drag this inside of here, it's going to push that text around. You notice when I drag this up and down, all that text is going to kind of get moved all over the place. If I wanted to integrate a little bit better, maybe I wanted to kind of wrap around it, these tools underneath here, when I click on that image once, these tools right here are going to tell me what do I want it to do. Do I want to in line with any other text? That basically treats it as an item, as a single character, like a letter. Do I want to wrap text? If I click on that, you'll see that text will appear kind of over here beside it. So it's kind of wrapped inside of the other text. That's useful if you want to put text beside each other. And then finally, if I wanted to break text. So that would only mean it would only be a single line. You couldn't have text beside it. You could only have it by itself. We'll do wrap because that's kind of cool. We have some text beside it here. Let's pull this up here. So that's kind of cool. I've kind of put an image, put some text beside it. You'll notice here some other things like margins. Is it 0 margin, so the text is right up to it or more? Do I move with text? What happens? Is this a fixed position on the page? That means if I click on that, does that mean that even if I hit enter around it, the text is going to go around it, but that image is going to stay right where it is, no matter what? So again, you have choices there. Do you want to move with text or other position options? Over here on the right now, things like, do I want to know exactly X and Y, how far over? This is the kind of stuff that I would be interested in if I was really worried about if I'm going to print this out and I want that image to appear somewhere specific. The only drawback of that is if I'm going to share this document with somebody in digital form and I want to make sure they can see what it looks like here, that may work. But again, it depends on what they're looking at it with. Are they looking with a phone, with a tablet, with a laptop? Like you can't, decide that factor of it. It really comes down to, what device they're using to see it. So this is okay. But if I'm going to print that out, then I may want that because the printing out, this is what it's going to look like exactly, what you see here. And we can click away from that and see that. Cool. So other ways kind of add images. Not only, I just click an image here. Another couple tools built right into it. You have the resize. You also have this one on top. If I wanted to tilt it, I can, tilt it down. It's going to take up a lot more space in this case, but I can tilt it that way. If I double click on it, built right into Docs here, you'll notice these black lines will appear. These are crop lines. So if I wanted to crop this image, let me actually choose a different image so that we can do one that, not quite as a logo. So I'm going to insert a new image. On this side, instead of searching the web, I'm going to go to Photos. So these will be my Google Photos. Let's find a good one of the school. I've got some school images here. Oh, those are quite a while ago. But let's use this one. This is actually a nice image here. Okay, so this is an image I had in my Google Photos. Here it is. Cool. I can resize it, like I said. So we'll resize it, and we'll center it up here. Okay, so if I want to crop this image, I don't want to delete it. I don't want to resize it. I want to just crop pieces of it. If I double click on it, these black bars will appear, and I can put my cursor to change it to that up and down arrow. And now I can actually make this. Let's say I want to crop it. So it's a little bit more horizontal. You'll see here I have the entire image, and then I have the cropped version right here. If I hit enter, that will give me the new version right now. I can make it a little bit bigger. I want to make that look like that. Cool. Again, if I ever wanted to pull back, I don't really mean to crop, but I want to pull that information back. If I double click it again, you'll see the full image is still there, and I can recrop it if I wanted to. So that's built right into it, which is kind of handy. Built right into it as a crop tool, right? Built into Docs. One final thing, if I want to even more complex here. So if I want to do more cropping or more kind of individual stuff, there is Google Draw, which is built right into Docs. So if I click Insert, Drawing, I can either pull an existing one I've already created before, or I can do a new one right here. So this is going to be Insert Draw. So what is Google Draw? Well, it's called vector drawing. And what that means is I'm not going to kind of draw randomly like you would, let's say Microsoft Paint or something like that, where you're just kind of drawing out your sketching. These are going to be more linear. And if I draw a line here, let me click on the line tool. If I draw a line here, there it is. We'll make it a little bit thicker so we can see it. And the cool thing about that is if I use my arrow again, so this line, yes, it's an image, yes, it's a drawing, but I can move it around. If I said, I don't really want it there, I want it over here now. So it acts as a single component, and that's good, that's handy. The drawback of that, if I just want to freehand something, this isn't really meant for that. This isn't really the tool for that. So I do have, if I click on this pull down right here, I do have some choices. Here's, an arrow, a line with an arrow, just like it sounds like. We'll make it a little bit thicker. Let's make it a different color. If I click on this, I'll make it red. Okay, so let's say I'm choosing something that I want to, put arrows with. Maybe I want to use that same image of, let me get rid of some of these extra ones here. I want to use that same image that I just had of the school, but I want to add an arrow where the door is so we can kind of see where it is. So how would I do that? I've got my arrow. I clicked on this and we chose an arrow, made it a little bit bigger, made it red. If I choose this image right here, this is going to insert an image into it. So I can go do that same thing. Let me go to my Google Photos. Let's find that school photo. Okay, so I have my image. I have my arrow. Now, if you notice, the arrow is behind the image. Okay, so that's problematic. So if I click on one of these, either one of these, I can click on it, right click on it, or on a Chromebook do alt click, which is right click, order, and I can send it to back. So think of this like I mentioned before, like scrapbooking, where you have things layered on top of each other. I can order this, send it, whoops, click on it again, send it to back, and now it will be behind it. So let's say I want to point, when you come to the school, come in right here. And so I point exactly where I want. Let's make that even thicker so you can really see that. Cool. So there I got my arrow on top of my original image. Now, again, I have the same tools as before. If I double click on it, I can crop it out if I want to. But in drawing, I have a few more little tools that I didn't have on just regular docs. So in here, if I click on it once, you'll notice up above here, these toolbar changes based on what I select. So I'm gonna click on that, do the pull down, and I have this same cookie cutter shape cutter. So if I want this shape to actually look like, let's see, what would be a good one here for a school? We'll do rounded edges here. So boom, if I click on that, you notice here the edges here are actually rounded, and I can adjust this little yellow dot here. Let me adjust how rounded they are. So if I want to make that adjustment here, click on that, click away from it. And so now that what it looks like. And we'll add one more thing. We'll add a border to it. So we've got this here. Here's my border weight or my border color. So if I want to add a nice burgundy, I'll make a burgundy border to it. I'll make it a little bit thicker so you can see it. And that looks very good. If I save and close, this is now going to be treated as an image in my Google Doc. So remember, when I inserted this, I clicked Insert, Drawing, and a new image, new drawing. So here it is. If I wanted to go back and edit again, if I want to change it, oh, you know what, that's not quite right, I want to make a change, I can click on it and you'll see right here, this will edit, and now I can dive back in and I can do all kinds of things in here. I can move it again if I need to change this or whatever I need to do. And then when I click Save and Close, this will go back to what it was before. So that's kind of a cool tool built right into it, built right into Docs. So this is kind of an embedded one. Now, this image now is only found inside of Docs, inside of this Google Doc, not by itself. If I wanted a drawing by itself, what I would do is I'd go to my Google Drive, click New, More, and find Drawings right here. So here where this is its own drawing, it works basically the same. If you notice, it looks all the same kind of tools. I can, we'll do the same thing. We'll just do a quick one. I'll insert a photo. We'll insert a different picture of the school. Let's go find, this is an older one because we've got snow on the ground here. That's okay. We'll insert this image. And again, all the same type of tools apply. If I want to resize it, if I want to crop it, we'll do that same shape again with the borders, all that same kind of stuff. But there are a few more settings up here that we didn't have before. Okay, so it is a little bit weird to me anyway, why there's some in drawing by itself. There's a few more settings that you don't have in the Google Docs version. But if I want to insert this image, let me add an arrow here just so we've got something to kind of look at. I'm going to add an arrow and we'll say, come to this side over here, make it a little bit bigger. And we'll make it nice and red. Whoops, I got two of them here. That's all right. So we'll use this one here. All right. So I've got my arrows, I've got my picture, all that same kind of stuff. There are some more settings on here, and this is why this might be useful. Let's say, for example, I want to embed this image right here, this thing that I'm working on. If I want to put it back in my Google Doc, I'm going to call this drawing 1. Okay, back in my Google Doc here, I'm going to scroll down. Let me get rid of this one. So if I insert a drawing from Drive, that's the one that I'm going to insert the one I was just working on right here, drawing 1. So I insert that. Look right here, link the source or insert unlinked. What that means is if you insert it linked, that means if you go make a change on the original drawing over here, it will update it in the doc itself. So that might be super handy. If I insert it here, here's this document. If I go back over here, if I make a change, okay, I don't actually want this over here. I actually want to point this out back here for some reason. I have to refresh this, but it would update on this document as well. Here's another cool thing that's a little bit different in the Drive version of drawing rather than the embedded Google Docs version. I can do regions and I can have those be clickable. Now let me explain what that means and why that would be useful. If I grab the shape, I'm going to grab a shape here. We'll just do a circle. I'm going to put it over in this area here. Okay. Now, right now it's just a big blue kind of oval, which is okay. But I want to make it so this side of the image, if I click on that side, it goes to one website. But if I click on this side over here, it goes to a different website. Now, some examples why you might use that. If you're doing a map, let's say you're doing an area map of the school, and you want to click on certain areas and have it go somewhere. Or if you're doing geography and you have a map of the state of Maine, and you click on some parts of the state of Maine, it will send you to different places. So there's different use cases you might want this. How I would use this here is I'm going to click on the item itself, on the shape. I'm going to make it invisible. So I'm going to click on the paint bucket right here. We're going to make it transparent. It's still there, you just can't see it, right? I'm also going to make the border be transparent. So same thing, this little pencil icon right here, I'm going to make that be transparent. So if I click away from it, doesn't look like anything's there, but if I click on it, this image or this shape is still there. Now here's the cool thing about this shape. I can make this be a clickable link. So if I want that link right there to go to, I'll just throw in rsu19.org. We'll go to our website, apply. So if I come to this image and I click on that side, it's going to send me to that link. I want to do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to make it transparent, make the border be transparent. And now I want to make the link here. And this one I'm going to send to, we'll say r219.info, just somewhere different. Okay. So this document itself, by itself, is not going to be very interesting, this drawing. I would have to publish this and put this somewhere where people could see it. So if I go to File, Publish to the web. I'm going to publish the whole thing. Click OK. So this drawing now, if I go to this drawing by itself in the published view, whoops, go to it, but not the shared view here. Advanced, we're going to make everybody be able to see it. We're going to change that. Okay. So now if I go to that link right there, now, this document by itself could be embedded. Now, I'm looking at it right now because I'm the editor. Let's jump to a different tab where I am not the editor. Okay, so people could see this, but they wouldn't be able to edit it. And this right here could be embedded inside of a website or somewhere you want your students to go to. And you can make it so if they click on certain regions of the document, it would go directly to that link. So again, if you have like a map or something, you want them to click on different regions and that would go to certain links, or maybe they're working on a project and they're doing a region of the United States and each student group has a certain region of the country. They could click on that link and it would go to that area or wherever you wanted to. Maybe it goes to a video, maybe it goes to whatever. This is kind of like they used to call them area maps or site maps. And this is kind of the same idea where you're using a graphic and you're creating linkable hotspots on it. And that's built right into Google Drive or Google Drawing right here. All right. I think that's probably the only other, this is kind of a little thing, but I'll just throw this out there. Difference, again, inside of the image, inside of the full drawing app, rather than just the embedded one in a Google Doc by itself. Another little difference. You do have format options here. And again, why would you care about that? Well, you can do things like, there's just a little bit more tools. So if you want to recolor it, again, I'm not sure why I'd want, let's say I want to make this black and white for whatever reason. If I want to adjust the brightness or the contrast here, I can do that built right into this section right here in these tool sets, whereas again I can't do that into the other one. If I wanted to add a drop shadow, oops, I'm clicking the right one here. Turn the contrast back down. If I wanted to add a drop shadow, we'll make it a little bit wider so you can actually see it. make it less transparent, and we'll change the angle so it looks kind of cool there. So now if I click away from it, you'll see here there's some these other features here that you didn't have before. Again, that stuff's not necessarily built into the options up here for the Google Doc. Now, here's kind of the cool thing. So I just made these changes over on this drawing right here. Now remember, we linked to it from the Google Doc. So if I want to update this to reflect those changes, I just click update right here. Boom, and now that's the new version. So that's kind of a neat idea. So if you had something that you wanted students always have the latest version, you're linking to that information. You're not actually just copying and pasting it. It's not like a snapshot. It's actually a live link back and forth. All right. So I thought that'd be just kind of fun to play with. The last tool I'm going to share with you today, let me double check to see if there's any questions about those docs or drawing. Looks okay. Okay. The last one I'm going to share you today is another free website, free app. If you do want that experience of not vector drawing, I mean, you're not drawing lines or shapes that are all one thing. You actually just want kind of a freehand thing, or if you want your students to kind of play around with a freehand thing, but you want it pretty simple. We've talked about Photopia, which is a very complex and really fully featured website that will do that. It's kind of like a Photoshop equivalent. But again, that may be way overkill for younger kids, or even, depending on what your needs are. I'm going to use this tool. This is called Clicky. I believe how I pronounce it. It's Kleki. And again, it's free. It's just clicky.com. Come on here. The only thing to note is you're not going to save anything on here. If you do work or if your kids make something, when they're done, they're going to want to download it up here in the upper right. You're going to save that image. Otherwise, it's going to be gone. But just like it sounds like, it's kind of like if you remember Microsoft Paint, where I can just draw stuff randomly. You've got some other features in here. I can make different sizes of my brushes, different colors, all the same kind of stuff that you would do in Microsoft Paint or whatever. You can do layers. Again, we won't worry about that right now. Oh, that's probably too light. Let's make it a little bit bigger here. So if you wanted kids to kind of be able to play around with some of these, just to be able to kind of, I don't know, have you can move the actual canvas around. This is just a free app. Again, I know kids love to just draw like this. They used to spend, how many hours on Microsoft Paint just making little drawings or whatever. This is free. It's web-based. They can just jump on it. They can start playing around with it. If they want this document, when they're done, if they want this image somewhere to save it, they've got to make sure they save it, because if they exit out, it's gone. So right up here, they can, import an image, or they can save this one. And there I have that image now by itself. I can see it. There's the picture by itself. And again, I would take this and maybe I would share it to my Google Docs, or maybe I would upload it to Google Drive, or again, depending on what you want to do with it. It does have layers. I don't know how complex you want to get with students, again, depending on the age level. If I'm going to start teaching layers, then we start using the Photopia, because it's more features there. So I wouldn't mind using this with younger grades, third, fourth, fifth graders, just to kind of play around. But if I wanted to do something more complicated, I would probably jump into another one. Let me see what that's got. Oh, I'm on a different layer is why. There we go. So that is Photopia. Excuse me, that's Clicky. I just kind of think that's kind of a fun one. They do have galleries and different stuff on here you can see. But I just think that's a kind of a fun drawing app that kids can play with and be creative, and they can add to their work for you. If it's something you just want to mess around with, you actually want them to build. So I think with that, we're running up at about 1:30. I don't have any questions, which is great. So tomorrow we're going to dive into Sheets, I believe, looking at the agenda here. Let's see. Oops, I think I have the wrong one. Here we go. See, today we did draw. Nope, tomorrow we're going to do sites, Google Sites. So what we will do is we'll bring in some of the stuff we've been working on this week, like a Google form, like a drawing, like a Google slideshow, this stuff, and we'll see how we put it onto our Google site. I know there's a lot of people that are using a Google slideshow as a site, which is great, but I'll just kind of show you the differences in the kind of comparing the two, how you'd add something to a Google site and just have it embedded and build it right from there. Also, what was the thing I was going to mention? Oh, yeah. And then for those people that showed up a few minutes late, we are going to do a whole session on transferring your data from one account to another. And the reason why that's coming up useful to students specifically is, as the ones that are graduating, we keep their accounts running for a couple months, so it doesn't immediately cut off at the end of the day. But we do want to have kids know how to be able to transfer their work from their own account, their school account, into their own personal account, and kind of take their stuff with them. So we'll do a whole episode about that. So I think with that, yes, have a wonderful day and really get outside if you can. It's beautiful out. We're well earned it. We've been had not the great weather the last couple of weeks, so hopefully it's kind of turned the corner and we're ready full bore into spring. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will see everybody tomorrow.